Mirwe. I'm the Moonlit Page Turner. Grab your treat, grab your tea, and let's talk books. For today's reads, we are traveling to the country of Burundi. Burundi is the last of the countries that start with the letter B, so next month we are going to start with countries that start with the letter C. And get ready for some emotional damage, because both of these books, I chose a fiction and nonfiction, are really tragic. They're both excellent. I enjoyed both of them. I can't say I love them because they both have to do with some really tragic events. A lot of people will have heard of the Rwandan Civil War and genocide that happened starting, before, but it's really culminated the genocide in 1994. And that's largely has to do with the movie Hotel Rwanda that spotlighted the genocide. But Burundi, that sits right below Rwanda, and they have a lot of the same history and ethnic groups. There are three main ethnic groups that build up Burundi. We have the Tukwa, which are the Twa. They are the pygmies, and they were used to be the largest population. And then we have the two main ones that will be in our conflict, and that is the Hutu and the Tutsis, and that also happened in Rwanda as well. So a little backstory on Burundi. They used to be a chieftain. They've been taken over by a couple different countries. The main ones that we're looking at are the Western influences. So in 1890, they become part of the German protectorate, same as Rwanda. Then we have World War I and Germany loses, and so their colonies are divided and they become part of Belgium's colonies. And Belgium, we talked about when we read 1010 in the Congo, are notoriously cruel to their colonies, which when we get to Congo, we'll talk a little bit more about. But they killed a lot of the chieftains, and then they ended up setting up this political group where the taller, lighter skinned people had, which are the Tutsis, had more economic advantages over the Hutus, which it actually ends up being a little bit more of the larger population. So they gained their independence in 1962, and since that time, kind of before that time, but since that time, we have seen conflict in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then in these two books, we're going to talk about what happened in the 1990s, starting with the assassination of their first democratically elected president, who was a Hutu, and that ended up causing this huge civil war that lasted for 12 years, and they think killed over 300,000 people. So because they've been in conflict for so many decades, Burundi is known as to be one of the poorest nations in the world because they're constantly in conflict. You have a lot of deaths, family strife, and so there's a real struggle that's happening. It's kind of still going on a little bit. 2015, from what I've been reading, is starting to get a little better. They're putting more things in place, but you have a lot of displacement. You have a lot of people trying to leave the country for economic opportunities, and that will be our nonfiction read today. Before we get into this month's reads, let's get into this month's treats. I actually made two different things this time because both of these were mentioned in the books, and so as I was reading it, I wanted to try both of them. They look very similar. I did make fungi in a previous video, and these are kind of similar. If you've ever heard of fufu, same kind of deal. So I have Ugali, which is this one right here, and this is made out of a corn maize or corn flour. And then I have Ubuswage, and that is made from cassava flour, which is really expensive. So I think it was like $13 for a tiny little bag, but let's try them out. So they're not super flavorful. They're meant to be eaten with other things. It's kind of like almost like a potato. And so I have a couple things that I was looking at when I was looking at food from Burundi, and that is, they have the red kidney beans and the plantains. So my plantains I fried in coconut oil, which I've done before, looking at other Caribbean recipes, and it's because plantains, not really sweet. And that I'm going to try with my cassava flour, and then my red kidney beans, I'm going to go with the corn flour. This meal right here, or a little snack if you want to, really high in fiber and protein. So that's actually really good. Originally, the recipe called for it to be fried. So you fry onions and then the plantains and then you put the beans in. I'm not a huge fan of onions, so I skipped that part, and then I ended up frying the plantains in coconut oil. Oh, see, look, when it like solidifies. So for the Ubuswage, they would actually put this in, or they do put this in banana leaves and carry it around. Let's see if I can tear a little piece off of it to eat with the plantains. That was really good too. So the plantains with the coconut oil gives it a little bit of sweetness. Again, not a lot of flavor with the cassava. Cassava's a little bit more on the sweeter side, but like barely than the corn. But the corn with the kidney beans, let's try the plantain. Yeah, I would stick with just the corn with the kidney beans, because the sweetness with the corn, not as good as with the kidney beans, but both of them, excellent. For our first read, we're going to talk about Small Country, and this is the fiction read, although I kind of have a feeling it might be based on some actual events. It's historical fiction because it is based on events, but as we'll see here, Gaël Faye is our author. On the back here it says that he was born in 1982 in Burundi to a French father and a Rwanda mother, and then in 1995, after the outbreak of civil war, his family moved to France. And this is why I say maybe, excuse me, based on actual events, is because our main character, who is Gabriel, or Gabby as he's called throughout the whole book, he is 10, and then he turns 11 in 1993 during the assassination and the Civil War. His father is French and his mother is Rwandan, and this will become important because his family, he has family in Rwanda, and so his mother will go there, he goes there to visit in the first part of the book, and the devastation that's happening in Rwanda, because that happened, their civil war was before Burundi's civil war, but Burundi has also was at war with each other for decades. But this is a book about childhood and childhood loss. Gabby has a bunch of friends. Some of his friends have European parents, and we see war through the eyes of children and how they lose their childhood once war starts. So this kind of reminded me of a bunch of other books that I've been reading in this series. The Bulgarian book about the actual kids during war. I was definitely thinking about them as I read this as well. Gabby is a great, great character, and you see this conflict that he has within himself. In the household, they have people that work for them that are both Hutu and Tutsis, and so he is living in this world where sorry, I'm losing my voice there. He is living in this world that is just devastated one day. So you have the assassination of Melchior Ndadaye, and again, he was the first democratically elected president, and he was as a Hutu. And the Tutsis have been in control for decades. They end up, the political group of the Tutsis end up assassinating the president, and that causes the war to then spread into the streets. So totally devastating, loss of childhood, a fantastic first character, or main character, and the friendship group that he has will get divided with the division of the country as well. Again, emotional read, what happens to kids during wartime, but I really, really love this book. The second read that I have is our nonfiction. So this is the life story, or up until he wrote the book, This Voice in My Heart, and this is by Gilbert Tuhabonye. He currently lives in Texas, and so he talks a little bit also about him leaving Burundi, and then this is also co-authored by Gary Brozek. Again, another totally devastating book, but Gilbert has a great message. He has been able to heal from the tragedy that is the attack on him and the death of family members, and been able to live quite a full life in the United States. He had to leave Burundi because he was in danger, and then he has decided, he has gone back, but it is no longer his home, and he talks about that in the book as well. I like the way that this book is set up because you have the devastation of the attack. So Gilbert decides that he wants higher education. He actually, one of his goals, he's a runner, and he's a runner in the United States as well. He teaches running camps. Actually, there was a video of Bush's daughter, who is on, I think, the Today Show, and she actually, when she was in college, she took a running class from him. But he has a TED Talk. He's been on a bunch of podcasts. So I would, if you're not going to check out the book, definitely check one of those out because he has a great story. He is a runner, and he has run since he was young. He is able to go to a high school because of the way that the education system is set up, is that not everyone goes to high school. It's like a boarding school, so you do have to pay to go there. He's able to win like scholarships almost because he wins the running prizes, so it's not as much of a burden on his family, but running is his life and something that's really important to him. Then his senior year of high school, where he's looking to take his national finals to say that can he go to college, and can he go to college in the United States. We have, it's 1993, and we have the assassination, and then we have his own classmates and the president of the school turn on the student population, and I'm talking butchers them, and he is able to survive that. So we get that information piecemealed, and it's at the end of every chapter. So he talks about the story of his life, and then at the end you get a little bit more of what happens to that night and the consecutive months that follows. So it's like, oh, I'm a little kid and I get to go to school and I make this friend, and then all of a sudden we're back at the school, right? And then this happens. So I found that really intriguing. And the way that it's not all full devastation at one time, you do see healing as it goes on as well. Because I think if that was just a chapter in his life, I don't know how you turn the page on that, because what happens to him, and he has burns on his body, and there was a machete involved, again, is horrendous. Great book. It was beautifully written. He does have a positive message towards the end, but it's not just like, oh, I forgive you. It's like learning how to forgive. And part of that has to do with the people that he meets in the Olympic trials. That he meets them from all over the world, seeing professional runners from his own country and seeing that there is a way for economic prosperity. Because again, when you have a country that has extreme poverty and no way to economically advance where you're at, we see a lot of conflict, we see a lot of immigration. So he is able to go to the United States, and he still lives in Texas today. If you're a runner, this is not necessarily about running, but it's always great to see professional runners and the dedication that he has. He's very, very dedicated to running, and he talks about like it was easy for him, and then he had to like apply skills that he learns from his running teachers. So great book, great message. Again, if read with care, and if that might be too much for you, maybe you watch his TED Talk or one of his interviews, because he has got a lot of really great things to say. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Next month, we are traveling to Cambodia, where I will continue to have emotional damage from historical events. If you are interested in what we have read in the past or what we're reading, please visit us on Instagram or Goodreads. See you then.